Hey guys, BlueBot206 back again. So as you can see, I'm in a new apartment complex just for like a month or so. Since we're in a new apartment, I'm still gonna do the same old and just make more content about Mario Party. This time, I'm ranking every single Mario Party 4 minigame from S tier to F tier. And trust me, you will definitely love this one because I know for a fact I'm about to judge the hell out of you guys if you don't agree with my opinions. Before we start anything off, I'm going to put a stop as well. No Bowser minigames. Those are all garbage. All of them are trash. But we're going to go ahead and get started. If you like the video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and also subscribe as well. I appreciate it as much as possible. Now let's get ready to get this started. So for the first mini game, it's called Avalanche, and there's a reason why it's called that, because basically you're just trying to avoid a big snowball. That's obviously just C tier, nothing special about it. You just continuously tap A just to escape. Nothing special, nothing more, done. I mean, there's also pipes where like platforms where you jump and build speed, but that's it. For the next mini game, it's Mr. Blizzard's Brigade. So basically the snowman that are like obviously around the lake are trying to pelt you with snowballs and you're trying to avoid them. This is B tier because not only are you just trying to avoid them, but also not to mention they're also attacking the opponents. The big one, however, throws a really big, humongous snowball and it can pelt anyone, multiple people at a time. For the next minigame, it's Bomb Breakers. This one closely resembles Dr. Mario / Tetris in a way to where you're trying to connect 3 in a row. And also you can continue to stack things in the opponent's areas, like their columns. And not to mention as well, you can basically disqualify them. That's really fun about it. I really honestly love this one. This one has to be S tier, one of my favorites. Although I really do suck at this minigame, it just happens to be really fun. The next minigame is Book Squirm, and come on guys. Obviously, this is the greatest Mario Party minigame of all time. This is literally the greatest one. If you don't like this one, what is wrong with you? S tier. Double S tier. All day, every day. The next minigame is Domination. I don't know what it is with Mario Party 4, but they really do love button mashing games. This minigame is nothing special. It's literally just you tapping the A button no matter what. No matter what happens. I have to put this one at D. It's nothing special. The CPUs normally win if you're playing against them, and it's just nothing special. The next minigame is the Long Claw of the Law. That's the longest alliteration you'll ever hear from me ever again. Basically, you're just capturing the enemy that is wanted, and they're all scattered all around behind these different walls and doors. And you gotta just make sure to grab them as fast as possible. I have to put this one on I just have to put this one on C tier. Like, it's better than Domination, but still, like, it's just like Avalanche. You make sure to grab the person as quick as possible. That's it. Continuing on with the button mashing minigames, there is Manta Rings, where you try to collect as many rings as possible, beating the other CPUs. And the only way for you to do that is to basically tap A as fast as possible. So, with it being another tapping minigame, I don't know what is the deal with all these button mashing minigames, dog. But I like the idea. It still wasn't executed perfectly with just button mashing, so D tier it is. The next minigame is Mario Medley. What it is just basically you just racing across the pool 3 different times, mashing 3 different sets of combos. I like what it's doing, especially like the fact that it requires you to change it up a little bit. So I gotta put this one on like A tier. I suck at the minigame, however, but it's still one of my favorite minigames there is. The next minigame is Mario Speedwagons. This one is absolute dog shit. Not only does it last for like 10 seconds, but if you don't have a correct head start, and if you do not execute the freaking shift changes, then you're dead. You're dead last place. It's completely terrible. This is obviously F tier at its best. The next minigame is Paratroopa Plunge. Basically, what you're doing is you're collecting coins as you're falling down from jumping off of a helicopter. Don't question me as to why that's the case in this minigame. However, it is really fun of you trying to avoid the paratroopas as well as the Shy Guys flying as well. And you have a big balloon, and if you get hit 3 times, you're just dead. I really like this minigame, but I'm gonna have to put it at C tier. It's nothing quite special, at least. So I'm just gonna put it at C tier. The next minigame is Photo Finish. Guys, I love this minigame. You can't stop me. I love puzzles. I love everything about this. This is S tier. This is even better than Book Squirm. I don't know what you're talking about. This minigame is not lame. It's amazing. You have to race against other people trying to put the picture together, and then you jump into the picture when you're done. S tier. And continuing on with the button mashing, we have Slime Time. I don't know what's the deal with Mario Party 4 with their button mashing. It's getting a little irritating to me at this point. Come on! Damn it! Come on! The next minigame is Stamp Out. This one's actually a really decent minigame when it comes to competing against others. The whole objective is to get a majority of your color onto the diagram, onto like the picture thing. And that one's actually pretty cool. I have to put this on B tier. It's one of my favorite ones to do. The next minigame is Take a Breather. This one's another one of the cases where you have to button mash the trigger buttons as fast as possible. This one, however, I like a lot better than mashing the A button because it gives a little bit of disparity. However, it's just whoever taps the trigger buttons the fastest wins. And I'll just put this one probably at C tier. It's nothing special. The next minigame is 3 Throw. This one is a little bit targeted, especially on if you're not on the corners, then you really can't score a lot of the basketballs. However, this one does offer a few different ways to approach it. Either you can shoot for the ones that are the goals that are at the top, or you can try to shoot for the ones that are in the mid or at the bottom. Those are the ones that are a little bit harder to get, and so basically the best option would have to be just to shoot the top areas. I'm gonna put this one on C tier. Like I said, nothing special about it, but it's still pretty chill. The last 4-player minigame is Toad's Quick Draw. This one has to be one of my favorites just because of the anxiety, because you don't know which balloon you have to shoot. No matter what, you're having to compete against the CPUs on which balloon to shoot. And if you shoot the wrong one, then you're very far behind. I'm going to put this one A tier. It adds just a quick amount of difficulty to it, but then again though, it is really fun to play. That'll do it for all the 4-player minigames. The next set of minigames are the 1 versus 3 minigames. The first one is Blame It on the Crane. This one is just basically the human, the one person has to get all 3 of the different other characters. And the way to avoid the crane is just basically whenever the crane is trying to grab you, you just run in that straight line. This one is just straightforward, nothing too fancy and all. I kind of find it a little bit boring because if you get a Shy Guy, you're going to be a little bit behind. I'm going to put that one on D tier. The next minigame is Candlelight Flight. This one is where the one person is trying to avoid getting sprayed to put out his candle. The other CPUs or the other players are trying to spray the one person with water guns. This one is just simple, straightforward. It's a lot of fun to play. I personally enjoy this one a lot. I'm gonna put this one in B tier just because it adds a little bit of fright and also just a little bit of panic whenever you're playing as the one person. The next mini game is Fish and Drips. Basically, both teams are competing to try to fill up the tank with more water to drop the cheap in. This one is more favored towards the one person because he gets all the letters all on the screen, while the 3-person team has to wait until the other person presses that button. So it's kind of on the unfair side of things. I definitely don't agree with that a lot. I'm gonna put this one in F tier just because of the fact that it favors one team more than the other. For the next minigame, the minigame is titled correctly. It is called Goal. And so what it is doing is that the 3-person team is trying to score 10 goals on the 1 goalie team. And the way to do that is you have to hit it in certain areas to where the goalie cannot cannot protect that goal. I'm going to put this one on C tier just because of that same issue. The next minigame is called Hide and Go Boom. Basically what you're doing is that if you're the 3-person team, you're hiding in a cannon by pressing that button on that cannon. And if you're the 1 person, you're trying to guess which one of those cannons all of the opponents chose. So it's a lot of anxiety to figure out which one is which, like if you're going to survive or if you're going to get blasted off into outer space. That's the fun part with this minigame because you don't know what to expect. I'm going to have to put this one on A tier. It's definitely one of my favorite ones. And also you get to see Luigi get blown up. The next minigame is called Making Waves. This one is kind of unfair on the point where if you're the 1 person in the middle, you're basically trying to avoid all of these waves by just walking around in circles. However, if you're one of the people on the boats, you're trying to make as big of a wave as possible to where that platform will flip over. That's kind of a little bit tricky because the person in the middle is kind of like OP as to where like it will know where to walk and where to like go. I'm gonna put this one on D tier. It's not that fun, but however, like you can see the advantages and disadvantages of each team. The next minigame is Hop or Pop. Basically, we're just little hamsters. Hamsters in the ball, and we're trying to avoid the 1 person that's trying to pop the ball. This is actually really fun. However, the only way for you to move is for you to actually jump. And it kind of gets a little bit irritating because once when that person gets close enough to you, you can't really move as fast as possible. So this one goes into B tier. B tier at best. One of the last few 1 vs 3 mini games is Money Belts. Money Belts is basically if you're the 3 team, you're at the bottom layer of the belt, trying to collect the leftover money that the first person team could not get. This is basically favored towards the person at the top because they can get as much coins as possible. However, if they fall off the belt, they have to restart, which gives the bottom team the chance to actually get as many coins as possible. This one goes in C tier because it's evenly matched, unless of course the person at the top is really good at collecting coins and knows exactly how far to go and not to fall off the stage. And now we finally reached the last 1 vs 3 minigame, which is Tree Stomp. This one is where the 1 person is getting chased by all 3 of the teams that are in these like giant tree like mechs, and they're trying to just hit the 1 person. It could either go either way. I find it like really lackluster at best. However, I could just say that it's not that fun. The best part about it is though the monkeys can throw the bananas to where it'll help the 1 person like speed up as fast as possible, but then again though it'll get sidetracked a lot. So D tier. Alright, now we're going to start on the 2v2 minigames. The first one is Cheap Cheap Sweep. So in order for you to actually win this minigame, your teammate has to work together to bring the Cheap Cheeps into your net. So what that means is that one of y'all has to go and put your net in the water by pressing the A button, while the other one has to go lure the fish into that net. It's pretty basic, to say the least. It's nothing too special to go at. I'm going to put this in C tier because it's honestly pretty nice. The next 2v2 minigame is Cliffhangers. This one is where you're climbing up a mountain, racing against the other team. And if you happen to not hold the A button down and there's a storm that happens, you're going to be forced to get knocked down by a little bit. It just basically adds a little bit of challenge when it comes to that. I know it's pretty much simple. I'm going to put this one in B tier just because of the fact that it adds just a simple like challenge to trying to figure out who will win first place. The next minigame is Dungeon Duos. This one is basically just a triathlon of team versus team going against each other, trying to make it to the end, trying to get out of this dungeon. This adds a lot of challenge, but also it adds a lot of like fun elements to it because at first you're going trying to race towards the end, trying to press the button as fast as possible. Then you're also trying to find the pipe that leads you to the next segment. I personally enjoy this one. This one has to be S tier. This is one of my favorite 2v2 minigames of all time, no matter what. I don't care what anyone says, Dungeon Duos is pretty good. The next minigame is called Order Up. It's just basically you trying to pick the items that Toad wants. Toad normally will want 2 different items, and so you're going to try to remember where they are placed at on the table. Nothing too fancy about this minigame. It's kind of boring. I'm going to put this one in D tier just because it lacks a lot of like opportunity with it. The next 2v2 minigame is called Parasailing. Basically, one person on the team is controlling the boat, while the other one is in the air trying to collect the coins. It all just matters on how fast the person driving the boat is in order for you to actually get all these coins. The person driving the boat also has to avoid hitting any of the boxes that are in the water, because if they do, it'll stun them for a little bit and they can't move actually. This one's just another basic coin game, so I'm just gonna put it in C tier. Nothing too fancy about it, but I did enjoy it. It was like probably one of my favorite ones to go. The next mini game is called Reverse a Bomb. This one is just a clusterfuck, and when I mean a clusterfuck, it literally is what it is. Whenever there's 5 bombs that are dropped down onto the pathway, and it is your job to not let them blow up on your side. So what you're doing is that you're pressing a button whenever it lights up, so that way it does not blow up on your side. This one's really fun in my opinion. I'm gonna put this on A tier because it adds a lot of anxiety, but also it adds a lot of risk and reward to it as well. The next minigame is Right or Left. As the title of the game just describes it, you're basically controlling an oar trying to get out of this cave. Basically, y'all are both you and your partner are trying to figure out which way to go. This game is a little bit on the not fun side. I'm gonna put it in F tier. I personally never enjoyed it whenever it came on. Like, I just did not work well with my teammate. We would always go one direction and then it would just fail miserably. I just never liked that minigame. Closing out the 2v2 minigames is Team Treasure Trek. This one is where you and your partner are trying to find both the chest and the key, trying to unlock the chest to get 10 coins. There's nothing too special about this minigame. The best way to do it is if you collect the chest or so, or collect the key, you can go ahead and meet up at that last spawn point. The chest as well as the key never really respawn like in a different spot. They're always in that same location. I mean, I'm gonna put this one in B tier. I like the fact that you're hunting something, and not to mention as well, it's pretty fun just to encounter like the opposing team. Pretty fun. Closing out the 2v2 minigames is the Great Deflate. This one's just basically you and your team trying to ground pound the fastest as possible. Nothing too special about this one. This is just obviously C tier. Nothing special, just another pounding minigame. Now, starting with the battle minigames, the first one is Bowser's Bigger Blast. This picks up to where the Mario Party 2 version started. This is where you literally just select a color at random and pray to God that it's not the one that would make Bowser's head blow up. Pretty much simple, it's just anxiety filled at best. This one is really fun, not to mention as well, it gives off a lot of good memories to it. This one's A tier. The next battle minigame is called Butterfly Blitz. The whole objective is you're trying to compete to get the most butterflies from the other opponents. Nothing too special, you just either swing the net downward or across. It depends on like how the butterflies are flying. It's nothing too special. I'm gonna put this in D tier. Not one of my favorites. Not one of my favorites at all. The next minigame is Chain Chomp Fever. Basically, you're just getting chased by a chain chomp, and also the ground will sometimes have lava on it or fire, and so you're trying to avoid both. It's a great change of pace. I don't really agree that it should be a battle minigame, but it is. I'm gonna put this one in C tier because it adds a little bit of both, honestly. Not too good, but actually not too bad at all. The next battle minigame is Paths of Peril. This one is where you go on a path and you can either take left or right. Whichever way you go depends on how difficult that path is. Normally, it's just luck, RNG basically, and then you're just racing towards the goal. I like this one a lot. It definitely adds a little bit of like anxiety, not to mention as well like a sense of you don't know what to expect later on. I'm gonna put this one in B tier just because of the simple fact that it does a really good job of knowing like it's a battle mini game and you're competing against others to race towards the end of the race, like end of the goal. Closing out the battle mini games is the next battle mini game, rumble fishing. Basically what you're doing is that you're waiting until you feel a rumble or you see the exclamation point above the person's head, and then you press the A button. This one is kind of bullshit because, not to mention, and anything goes with this one because you're just waiting. You're just honestly waiting, and whenever you least expect it, you just press the A button. Nothing challenging about this one. Whoever taps it the fastest gets the biggest fish. Whoever doesn't tap it or taps it last doesn't get a fish, so you can definitely tell who finished last place. This one goes in D tier. Nothing special about that one either. Just literally just waiting. That's it. The final and last mini game from Mario Party 4 is Trace Race. This one is where you're using a crayon or colored pencil and tracing the lines back to the goal. However, you can't be precise on this one. If you slow down a little bit, then the back area is going to push you to where you can actually miss a whole lot of the lines as well. This one is actually very fun, very fun to do with friends, especially to see who is the better man or better person playing this game. This one goes in A tier. It's one of my favorite battle mini games of all time. Even probably better than Bowser's Bigger Blast. Probably better, but who knows. And this will do it with my tier list of all the Mario Party 4 mini games. It is quite long, but I hope you enjoyed as well. Give me your honest feedback because I definitely love hearing it from you guys. I do have a few suggestions, especially like the F tier games. There probably are a little bit more from other people's perspectives, but these are just the biggest ones that I just don't like at all. Anyway, you guys, hope y'all enjoyed. If you liked the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe as well. Appreciate it as much, and I will see you guys all later. Bye, guys.